All right. Happy Sunday, everyone, from gorgeous West Side, California. Outside again, this beautiful day. So happy and grateful to share this time with you all, both live and in this present moment, as well as those that will be joining the YouTube afterwards. It's incredible what's happening with the YouTube. Like over 3,600 subscribers, and the recordings are being viewed over 1,000 times. So it's really cool. Appreciate all that support, and hopefully it's all this information is helping you all. All right, so let's start off with a little meditation and then prayer. It's coming into the silence, putting all of our attention on only our inhale and exhale. This is how we connect to the one source, by being fully present. Making sure that our back is straight, that our shoulders are back, that our head is slightly raised to open up the upper heart chakra. And so, dear Mother, Father God, how delicious the breath is. How delicious it is to be still, to be present. Grateful for our body temple. And in this present moment, taking the breath to scan and to visualize healing in anything that is desiring healing in the body temple in this moment. Grateful I am for our connection in my relationship with my spirit guides, Mikael, Queen Joy, Matthew, and my spirit council. Grateful for who I am and who my soul chose to be in this lifetime as King Joshua, Sana Kumara. Grateful I am for my life in the oozing of prosperity that exists in all 7 dimensions of my life. Taking a breath right now, that if you're someone that seeks healing in an aspect of your life, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, professionally, financially, or in relationships, that in this moment, know that right where you are, God and Goddess exists. And therefore, there are no problems in the mind of spirit. Only answers, only solutions. So let's take the holy breath to inhale solutions and answers, insights. And now let's exhale all that no longer serves you, to release that which was, and to be brand new in this moment. Grateful am I for this time together for Doctrine of the Soul, the 5th session. Sending love to all of our brothers and sisters in Morocco, knowing that our planet is always seeking equilibrium. And our planet is always seeking equilibrium. And so our focus as a human species is to align with our planet in a natural way. To be humbled and to know that this planet is what gives us life. And as such, there will be a day when we work in harmony with this planet. For that is divine law, that is divine order, and that is our natural way of being. And so it is. Amen. All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here on this glorious Sunday. So today we're going to wrap up our time with money. And so today's transmission is entitled Divine Order and Money. And as such, we wrap up our time in Beth in building the house. And money being the source of power in this time and space. We have already put in divine order our environment. We put in divine order the 7 principles of our body temple. We began the healing of our relationship with money, i.e., our power, in our last transmission. And today we step into divine order with money, i.e., our power. And so there are 3 things for divine order to exist with our money. The first thing is budgeting. Like we've talked about before, money is a relationship. And in any relationship, in order for it to be a healthy relationship, we must give it time. We must give it attention. Because our time and attention shows what we love. And so if you're not looking at your budget every single day, that tells you that you don't love money. And like we explained in our last transmission, how money is a tool created by our spiritual ancestors, there is much to love about money. And so I invite you today to create a system, if you don't have one already, where you put divine order in money with a budget. This will help you in so many ways. First and foremost, it will help your relationship with money. Because the more that you look at it, the more that you engage with it, the stronger the relationship will be. And as we've talked about before, money is an entity. And so this entity will talk back to you in terms and give you insights in terms of the things that you can do for your money to expand. For if money feels your love, money will want to be with you more. And so one of these powerful ways is by creating a budget and looking at your budget every day, balancing your budget every single day. This also helps to ground the energy and to see what the reality is of your money. Nothing can be changed until you see the truth, until you see the reality of what is. Good, bad, or indifferent, this gives you the power to change. And so if you're not liking what you see with money, you get to change it. You now have the power to do so. Maybe that means spending less. Maybe that means making more. But it's only when we ground something in the root chakra, in the material plane, when we can see what the reality is. Until we do so, we have no power to change anything. And it's much healthier to face what is and begin making changes if it is something that you don't like, than to wait and delay. When we wait and delay, that's when the Tower card comes in, those of you that are familiar with Tarot, which basically means that if we don't take active change with insight, i.e. seeing what the reality is, then the universe will do that for us. And that's what the tower represents. And so we take time to develop a budget. If you have not done one in a while, or maybe you've never done a budget, it may take some time in the beginning to develop, but it is worth it. Because if you want money, then you must take action in demonstrating to the universe that you are ready to receive more. It's simple. Many people in our spiritual community pray or quote unquote try to manifest more money, and yet most of the time they fail because they have not taken proper divine order with their money, because they are scared or fearful of what the actual reality is. We must face our reality to be strong. Facing our reality takes strength. Facing our reality takes courage. Many of us don't like to do this. And so what happens if we do not put our money in the root chakra or in the earth plane, then it stays in the air element. It stays in the mental world. And although the air element has its great purpose is not to hold materialism. Its purpose is not to hold the grounding of what you have, what your expenses are, and so on and so forth. That is clearly the intention of the material world and the root chakra. We would relate the mental world to the Ajna center, the sixth chakra, as well as the throat chakra, the fifth chakra. So the air element, also known as the formative world, its intention is not to hold your budget, not to hold what you have, what your expenses are, and so on and so forth. Many people try to do this and they fail. Many people, without budgeting, try to think about, okay, I've got this amount, or I just check my checking account once a week. Okay, I think I've got these expenses and these expenses, da 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 da. Doesn't work. And the air element, the formative world, is not for creativity or expansion when it comes to money. Therefore, again, we must ground our money in the root chakra, in the material world, in the earth plane, so that you can see what is so. The root chakra directly relates to you creating more. It is not to be held in the formative world or in the air elements or in the air world. This is, I'm giving you this truth from divine law. And again, once you ground it into the root chakra, then you have the power to change it. You work with that earth energy, you work with the reality, and then you make changes. The way that I love to work with my budget is a quicken program. that's on my computer that I check each and every day, what money came through, what expenses were taken out of my checking account, so on and so forth. Quicken does have this option to link to your checking account. I personally do not do that because I want to engage and touch my money, which means that I enjoy putting the transactions that have gone through my checking account in my Quicken program personally. I get to then label it myself. I get to put in divine order with it myself and how it correlates with what I am creating. So I do not suggest linking your Quicken account with your checking account. I suggest putting in the transactions yourself. Now, if you've never created a budget before, it is simple. Look at your past month's income and first start with your stable income. And what I used to do was I would budget off of the stable income. And so I would divide what I knew was coming in into my different expenses. And I would group my expenses together, such as, I believe back in the day, this is like 10 years ago, I would have 4 categories. I believe it would be like home. So any expense that would relate to the home would go there. Then food / entertainment. Then travel. That would be, how much I was paying for my car and gas. And then I believe my 4th was a miscellaneous category, if I remember correctly. But these are just suggestions. What works for you? Because in essence, then I would put what I think back in that, 10 years ago, I think I was making like $3,000 a month. Now I'm making like on average $300K a month. Thank you, Magic. But so I would divide, so then my next step when I would see, okay, I can, count on 3,000 a month, then I would break up that 3,000 into seeing those 4 categories and how much I would look back, the previous month and see how much I was spending in each of those 4 categories that I just mentioned, writing all that down, and then first seeing if it was less than 3,000. If it wasn't, then I would look at trimming and curtailing certain costs. And then if it was at less than 3,000, then let's say my home was like 1,500 or something. Then I would put like 1,500 of the 3,000 in the home category. And so on and so forth. I'll go with what was needed first. What do I actually need? And then see what was left over, and then fill the categories with what was left over. And if something wasn't left over, then again, I would have to trim, I would have to cut. But this was always fun for me. It was never stressful. Like, it was fun. Because if I wanted more, then that created the fire to create more money coming in. And, which I would always do. But by always, being with this 3,000, budget, it gave me divine order. And then anything excess of that, I could invest or, maybe add more to the miscellaneous category, things like this. But it gave me divine order. And what it will do is it will eliminate fear from you. Because the air in the formative world can contain fear. And so if you keep the money in that world, then you might experience more stress, more uncertainty, more fear around, can you pay your bills or not? And on this note, humans are very funny to me. uh, you know, oftentimes humans fall into what the rest of human consciousness thinks. If you are truly spiritual, you are a free thinker, because your only communication is then from spirit, not what humans think. And the reason why I bring this up is because many humans, in fact, I don't know any human that shares the same love that I do with regards to paying bills. So I'll say anecdotally, meaning my experience, is that all humans have the experience of hating to pay taxes and hating to pay bills. Why? I love paying my taxes and I love paying my bills. I love paying my bills because it is something that I've chosen. It is something that I've chosen to have a relationship with. Maybe that's my phone bill or my rent or my car payment, even my credit cards. I'm very intentional about what I spend and where I put my energy in, my financial energy into. And so for me to then have resistance or some type of negative feeling around paying, i.e., having an exchange of energy for these services that I've actually said yes to, is ludicrous. It's ludicrous. It doesn't make sense. And yet humans continue to have this experience of negativity when they pay their bills. Doesn't matter how low the bill is. Oh, I've got to pay my bills. Oh, I've got to pay my taxes. If you enjoy living in this country, that is part of the exchange. If you enjoy the fact that you can call 911 and have the fire department come out or have the police department come out, that is part of the exchange of energy. Now, there's a whole other discussion, like is taxes legal and all that type of stuff. I'm not going to get into that. That's not the purpose of this talk. I think there's some validity to that. However, because I've chosen to live in this country, this is the divine order. This is the divine law of this country, is that I live in this country and therefore I pay taxes. And because I've agreed to this, I am happy to pay my taxes. And I'm especially happy. I mean, taxes, you could have some reservations on certain issues and this, that, or the other politically. But I'm especially happy when it comes to me paying my bills. Especially, I mean, 2 of my American Express credit cards came in this morning. When I saw that, they came through the email. When I saw that, I dropped everything to pay the full amount. Woohoo! Yeah. I just enjoy it. To me, it's divine order, you know? And I've always felt this. And so I invite you to eliminate this collective conscious negative attitude, with paying your bills, because this negative attitude will also affect your relationship with money. It's kind of like, you're dating someone and the relationship's going well, and then they say, hey, it's time to meet my parents, and you resist or hate meeting their parents. Well, that's part of the relationship. If you resist or hate meeting the parents or spending time with the parents, then why are you with the person? So to me, this is part of our relationship with money. This is part of the exchange of money. And this is a part of having a true prosperity consciousness. Many people in our spiritual community run around, they think that they have a true prosperity consciousness, and they don't. They don't. They just lie to themselves. If you're someone that has negative feelings around paid bills, you do not have prosperity consciousness. Let us be real. Let us see truth so you could actually change it. Most of our spiritual community, honestly, is narcissistic. I could also say that about Wall Street, but I'm not saying that they are classified as be narcissistic. What I'm saying is that they have narcissistic wounds, and they use quote unquote spirituality to help fill the voids of those narcissistic wounds. There's a difference between being narcissistic and have narcissistic wounds. Many people right now, since the whole Trump days, are flying around calling everyone narcissistic, and they have no fucking clue what that means. Just because they read some online article, whatever, they think now they're an expert. In truth, only a trained psychologist or psychiatrist could actually label you narcissistic. You have to go through a battery of tests. Let's stop labeling people as narcissistic. However, everyone does have narcissistic wounds. And many people go to spirituality to try to fill those narcissistic wounds. Little tangent there. But going back to our bills, I invite you to have a different relationship with your bills, to enjoy paying your rent, to enjoy paying your cell phone bill or your car bill, whatever it is that comes through. Because if you don't, then release it. You're making a conscious choice. Take responsibility. Responsibility being the ability to respond to every single action that you take. If you don't have joy, it paid your bills. It paid the exchange of energy for these services that these companies have said and that you've agreed to having. These companies giving you this certain type of service. Then release it. Joy is the utmost path to spirit. And if something does not give you joy, release it or change your framework, change your mentality, change how you see it. There's a poem by the Moody Blues that comes to mind that says, cold-hearted orb that rules the night, removes the colors from our sight. Red is gray and yellow white, but we decide which is right and which is an illusion. I could write a whole book on that poem. In that poem contains the truth of spirituality. It contains the truth of us creating. It contains the truth of our relationship within our individual self and the rest of the world. We decide which is right and which is an illusion. Very powerful. Putting divine order with your money means creating a budget and looking at that budget every day. Yes, in the beginning, it'll take some time to review your expenses, to review your income. But once you have that, you will be so much happier. And then you can work then on what you want. And that's why divine order with money is an essential part of Beth, the house. The second aspect is tithing. Tithing is an external offering to the universe. I grew up poor. I started working when I was in third grade for $2 an hour at a family friend's bookstore. For many, many years, I would hear the importance of tithing. But because I grew up in survival mode, that was not an option. And then roughly maybe 8 to 10 years ago, I had a shift in my heart. And I made the choice to say, okay, I'll start tithing. And I decided to start with 1%. And then the next month it was 2%. And then the third month I jumped to 10. Roughly 10% of every crop that nature provides is given away to the rest of Mother Earth through insects and all these certain animals that eat the crop. Of course, humanity, being how we are, we create these pesticides and all these things to try to keep the insects and so forth from eating the farmer's crop. And again, this is not natural. Remember, nature comes from the word natural. So to be in alignment with nature, to be in alignment with our natural way, everything that we receive, ideally, we give 10% of it away. If that is something that, if 10% of your income is a large amount for you right now, that's fine. Do what I did, what I started. Start with 1%. Even if you just do 1% a year, 1% every month for a year, you're still now working in the progression of being in alignment with nature. And then when you feel called, because tithing is a heart issue, it's not something that you have to do. It has to come from your heart. So when you feel called to increase it to 2%, then 3, then 4, do so. Even if that maybe takes a couple of years, that's fine. This is about your own relationship with financial energy. You cannot mindfuck spirit, the universe, or this natural process, which means, and again, many people in our spiritual community, they try to mind F, the universe. It doesn't work. It never works that way. Everything must come from your heart. And so when your heart says yes to starting your tithing process, I invite you to do so. If you are in such survivor mode right now to where that type of tithe does not resonate with you, God bless you. I understand that. I was there. But this tithing is an important part of our divine order with nature and our relationship with financial energy known as money. Eventually, for me, I opened up a checking account for my tithing, a separate checking account for my tithing. Energetically, especially when I started making, a lot of money, I'd have friends and all this, ask for money and all that. I personally don't enjoy the energy of having someone owe me something. So this tithing account really provided a great system as well as a great boundary. If a friend needed some help and my spirit guide said yes to it, then I would give. But if someone needed money and my tithing account was at zero, the answer would be no. Once that tithing account's at zero, then we can utilize our sacred no. The yin and yang of tithing, as we've talked about it being an external offering to the universe, the internal balance is what we call paying yourself first. That is a term used by a lot of financial advisors, that you must pay yourself first with everything that you make. This is also in alignment with your financial energy, that you must pour it into your cup first before you do anything. And so divine order is about your tithing and your savings being the same. If you're going to do 1% tithe, then you do 1% savings. That you pay yourself first. And that the internal and external is equal. That you are in balance. Many people in our spiritual community, they actually overgive, because many people in our spiritual community have incredible, beautiful hearts. But overgiving is an action of not loving yourself first, of actually loving others more than yourself. To take money and pay yourself first, but not to tithe, is an action of fear, and survival mode. It's great, that you're saving, but also allow yourself to be in the freedom and in the joy of giving. So these two actions must be equal. What you decide to do with the money that you save is up to you. But every single month that you put even $1, $10, $25 into that savings account, you are increasing your power in this material world. and that's a good thing. And especially when you start seeing that number expand and grow, you will feel more confident. You will feel safe. You will have less worry. And those are all great things to give yourself so that you can be in your full potential and not being weighed down by fear of lack of money. The amount, oftentimes I'll talk to people about investing, and sometimes someone will say, well, I don't have enough to invest. I started investing when I was 18 with $1,000. And it was in a certain mutual fund. Mutual funds were very, very hot in the 90s. And a month later, I made $785 off of that $1,000 investment. And actually received a check for $785. It was called Capital Distributions. And I was hooked. I was hooked. Investing is one of my loves of my life. And if you're someone that your heart tells you to start investing, in my younger years, I started with The Motley Fool. The Motley Fool by Tom and David Gardner. They have beautiful hearts. I've met them several times. Really, really great people. And David Gardner, in my opinion, is the greatest stock picker of our generation. He was early on Amazon, in the late 90s, as well as many other stocks. And so if you're someone that needs direction, from my personal experience, I would go to The Motley Fool, start reading articles, maybe subscribe to one of their subscriptions, and they will give you incredible advice. If it resonates with you, obviously this is not financial advice, do your own research. But this is something that I did. I'm just sharing from my personal experience. It's something that I did when I was 18, 19, in my early 20s. And it gave me an incredible start in terms of understanding the stock market, in terms of making certain stock picks and this and that. Again, just sharing that with you from my own personal experience. And but with everything, go to meditation and see how spirit guides you. And if you don't feel comfortable investing, that's great too. Then just continue to save. But historically speaking, investing is a great is a great avenue, a great tool to multiply what you save. But that's all from past performance, and let spirit guide you in terms of what is today and in the future, because you can also obviously lose money. But again, I grew up poor. Now I'm multimillionaire. And the reason why is because I would always, from a very, very early age, put money aside for myself and fill my cup first before I did anything. And no matter where you are financially right now, as long as you have income, you can save. Going back to tithing, one of my favorite things that I still do today, when my tithing started becoming $100 or more a month, I would take $100 bill out. I would put it in my wallet. And I would say a prayer over the $100 bill. And I would tell Spirit, this is your money. Let me know who to give this to. And so throughout the month, there would just be a hit, an insight, where Spirit would say, hey, give this to that person on the street, or this, that, or the other. And I would just walk up with that $100 bill, hand it to them, and say, this is from God, and I'd walk away. Now, obviously, I can do that because I'm a male and a bigger one at that. So obviously, only do this if this is something that you feel called to do. There are many ways, to give, where you don't actually have to have, direct human interaction with strangers. But this experience, to think about, how that might have changed someone. I remember one time I was at the gym and I was actually doing curls or something. And middle of my set, Spirit said, send $100 to this certain person, a friend of mine. And I said, well, I haven't talked to this person in years. I don't even know, how to give them money. I don't even know where they are. But I immediately stopped my set, like middle way through, looked through my phone, looked through the person's name on PayPal and Venmo, found them on Venmo, I believe. This is like 8 years ago or something, and sent them the $100 and continued with my set. Later that day, I was walking the beach and I received a text from this person, and they said, thank you so much. I was praying for $100, for a certain expense that they had, and your money came in as soon as I finished the prayer. Nothing makes me more happy than to prove that God exists. And so by being a conduit of giving and sharing with the world, then we can also prove that God exists and answer people's prayers. But it must be done in divine alignment. It must be done in divine order. We do not overgive. We do not give more than what we're giving ourselves. The perfect yin yang, the feminine masculine, must be in balance. And so we create our own checking account for the tithing. We give that money to Spirit and say, Spirit, guide me, use me. Let me know how you would like me to give this. And with that same equal amount, you also fill your own cup. Do a savings account, or if Spirit guides you, possibly investing. This is divine order. This is divine law. This is how we have a healthy relationship with money. And in having a healthy relationship with money, Money will speak to us and guide us in terms how to have more. And so it is. Amen. That's the end of the transmission. I'll give you all a few minutes to write any questions if you have any. And thank you very much for being here. Mhm. All right. If there are no questions, we'll go ahead and close. All right. Well, thank you all. Send you all so much love on this beautiful, happy Sunday. May you all have a goddess day. Bye-bye.